Okay, hello guys and welcome to my channel. Today I'll be answering business past year paper for May-June 2021. Paper 1, variant 2. The total for this paper is 80 marks. Alright, and it has about 4 questions. So our first question is the first case study. Pamela is a sole trader. She started her successful photography business 30 years ago. She specializes in taking pictures of people and places for use in posters, calendars, and fashion magazines. It is a niche market. Pamela uses cost-plus pricing as a part of her marketing mix. Offering a high-quality service is important to Pamela and her 2 employees. Define cost-plus pricing. 1A. So for me, I think that you should use your own words. If you don't necessarily have to remember, because it's not easy for everyone to remember the definition, like exactly like what the your textbook says or the past year paper marking scheme. So I think that you should really be understanding this term and also the chapter itself in order for you to define it with no problem. So the definition for cost plus pricing is the price is based on the cost of making a product and the addition of a fixed percentage profit. So for you to obtain the 2 marks for this question is you need to define it fully, completely, or you can partially define the term and give the formula for cost plus pricing. Alright, so our next question is define marketing mix. Now, marketing mix is a very important chapter under the marketing section in your textbook. So you should know this by heart, just like your factors of production, because it usually comes up in all of the questions and it's related to mostly everything. So marketing mix is all the activities that go into the marketing of a product or service. These activities are often summarized as the 4 P's: product, price, place, and promotion. You don't really have to follow these by order. Any order is fine as long as you mention the four P's. Alright, next is C. Outline 2 reasons why offering a high quality service might be important for Pamela's business. Now for this question, there could be many possible answers as long as you stay in relation to the question and your reason makes sense. So you'll definitely get your marks for this question. I mean, unlike these 2 where there's usually a fixed answer. So for these questions you can get creative, and this is what I like about the business paper. I think it's really helpful for students and obviously less stressful. Alright, so like I said, there could be many possible answers like customer loyalty or improving brand image or increasing sales and etc. So my first reason that I've had here is to gain customers' loyalty. So that is the reason, and justification for the reason is high quality of Pamela's service promotes trust and satisfaction of her customers. Now if this is like a 6-mark question, obviously you'll have to elaborate more on that, but it's just 4 marks. So for here you already have your 2 marks because you've mentioned the reason and the explanation for it. Our second reason is you can set, or Pamela can set, high prices. for good quality service, maintains high prices in order to use cost plus pricing. So when you have good service or good quality products, you can always set high prices, and you will be able to use methods such as cost plus pricing without needing, to worry about it. So your second reason here, you already have your 2 marks. And like I said, there are many other possible reasons, like brand image, to improve brand image. Now this one, you could say that having good quality service will promote for better brand image and will also spread awareness of your business, which leads to high revenue, customer satisfaction. Maybe your employees rates add up, when higher revenue equals higher salaries. And that's it for this question. Our last question for this, oh no, not last question, is D. Okay, we still have one more for this first question. So part D is to explain 2 advantages to Pamela of operating as a sole trader. Now this is pretty simple. It is in your textbook. So if you're doing this paper as a homework or as a practice for IG, I recommend that you always have your textbook with you, plus the marking scheme, because the marking scheme, you can see how your model answers should be and stuff. But I know that the marking scheme is hard to understand, and for me as a student, I found it hard at first, and then by time you'll get used to it, so don't worry. So we have also many possible answers for this, but I took the most simple ones and the most ones that usually come to mind during exam, just right away on the spot. So what obvious reason is being a sole trader is you can keep all the profit to yourself. So from her is Pamela, but photography business, she can have all the profit to herself without sharing it with another owner. So that is one of the key benefits of being a sole trader. Our next advantage is she will have complete control. So obviously since she's the only owner of this business, and obviously she, as we mentioned here, she has 2 employees only, so basically she has complete control. So when making decisions, she'll make all the decisions and doesn't need consulting anyone, which makes decision making faster and easier. Now she could consult her 2 employees, but since she's the owner, she doesn't really have to, unless she wants to motivate her employees to perform better at work. But usually she doesn't really have to consult anyone since she's the only owner. Our next question, and the last question for the first question, last part of the first question E, which carries the most, actually no, these 2 carry the same, but this one is quite more complicated. For this one, okay, let's go back to this question. So basically for this, you'll get 1 mark for your advantage, and for explanation you'll get 2 marks. So, and it's helpful to mention things from her business, like she's a sole trader, the business name or the person's name, like Pamela we used here, or what she does. Here we used photography business. So these things show you, the examiner, that you're actually what's going on, and it's also helpful. It will give you extra marks. Well, not really extra mark, but it will secure you the right marks. So for this one, you can get 2 for the explanation, And same goes for the second one, 2 and 1 mark. So basically in total 6 marks. Now for this last part, it's, do you think operating in a niche market will help a small business have a better chance of success than operating in a small market? Justify your answer. Okay, we'll get to the justification part later, so we're gonna talk about whether you agree or not. So the obvious answer for this one is you have to agree, in my opinion. Usually people will agree because when you use your logic, it is you'll come to a conclusion that it is better, because, well, obviously you can define what is a niche market if you, in the exam, you found yourself that you don't have any ideas coming up. While in order to get ideas for this question, you can simply just define what is a niche market and what is Pamela's role in this niche market. But for this one, I decided not to, because it's already 6 marks. Maybe you can do this in the second paper for the longer ones. But I think that there's enough points supporting my answer for the, agreeing with the niche market. So yes, I do think that it's better for a small business to operate in a niche market. So when operating in a niche market, Pamela will be able to focus on customers' needs, which leads to customer loyalty and good relations. So basically, what is Pamela's niche in this business? Basically, she specifies in photography, but not in general photography, just for pictures of people, places, or posters and stuff like that. So basically she has a segment of photography, which is a niche market. So basically, Pamela will be able to target the right customers when joining niche market. Unlike when when you go for a mass market, you'll have a wide variety, and sometimes it's harder to get started in the business. I mean, you'll obviously have a lot of customers for mass market, but you wouldn't be able to target them as easily because there are many other competitions. Okay, now for this you'll be getting 1 mark for saying whether you agree or not, and then you'll be getting 2 for this one, the one I mentioned here. And then you can get 2 for your justification. So basically 2, 4, and then 5. Okay, so like I said, 2 for justification. Oops, sorry. This is gonna be okay. 2 for justification, 1 for agreeing or not, and the rest marks will be for the relevant points for your argument. So my second point is having less competition, where she wouldn't have to lower the prices and could still attract customers. Like I said just before mentioning this, that it is easier to target customers when you're in a niche market, because you're targeting specific customers and you'll have less competitions. Where having less competitions will mean that you don't have to lower your prices in order to secure your customers, because if you're the only one around, you don't really have to, and you can set any price you like. Now this is supporting our first part where she uses cost plus pricing. Alright, so that's that, and we have our justification. Now what is justification? So justification is basically you'll have to kind of oppose what you talked about here. but in relative points. And then you also still have to mention that, oh yes, I still think that this is a good method. By this I mean niche market, but you still have to, tell about the cons of niche market. So here I said that she may have less potential for growth since there is only a single product. Plus, there may be less potential customers, which mean less overall revenue. Now I know this, like, why less potential customers while she's already securing customers. Yes, she is, but in the long run, like she's been for 30 years. If you're just providing one product, like, and maybe your customer range is not that big, yes, you're securing your customer, and yes, you're attracting them, but there are not many of them. So as time goes, your revenue will not be as high, and you'll have less potential for overall business growth, which may be a downside. You can still add for the justification. However, I still think, it's niche market is a good idea for her. Well, the obvious reason is because she has a small business. All right, and it is a better chance for success, especially if it's a new business. But for Pamela here, it is not, as she's been there for 30 years. So maybe if you did choose mass market, maybe it could be better, who knows. But I still would prefer niche market, because her business is still small and she still only has 2 employees. All right, that's it for question number 1. Hopefully that it was helpful. So we'll go to question number 2. Question number 2, our case studies states that NPX is the business brand name, is an online retail business. Online, that is another point. It doesn't operate in a shop. All orders are sent directly to customers from its warehouse. MPX employs 60 full-time workers. So they have 60 workers. The operations manager is analyzing MPX cash flow forecast. An extract is shown in this table, 2.1. To improve productivity, the manager plans to introduce new technology that can select and pack all items for each order. This will make 35 workers redundant. Focus, redundant. The technology will cost $40,000. The manager is considering using either internal sources or external sources to finance this technology. So this is the extract. Our first part for question 2 is to define opening balance. I'm just gonna define it like it's found in your textbook or in your marking scheme. So it is the amount of cash held by a business at the start of the month or trading period. Because not all businesses have they don't start at the same time. So whatever period this person or this business has. All right. So this is 2 marks. You will only get 1 mark if you say that cash that a business has. Okay, That will be only one. Okay, for part B, state 2 ways a business can increase productivity. So this one has 2 marks, which means you don't have to further explain your point, like for this question. Hold on. Part C for question 1. So you just have to state the ways, you don't have to explain. There could be many possible ways. You can write anything you like, it doesn't matter, and you'll still get the point, as long as you're still relative to the topic, which is productivity. Doesn't really matter where are your ways coming from, as long as it's still relative and it still makes sense. So we could say we could improve labor skills, which obviously leads to increase in productivity. Or maybe we can say increase motivation. For the employees. So when you have motivated employees, they will perform better, thus, leading to higher productivity. There are many answers you can see in your marking scheme or in your textbook. There's many possible answers, but I think these are the most common ones, or most thought of when it comes to this question. For part C, we have identify 4 sources of internal finance a business might have. So 4 sources of internal finance, maybe the owner's saving, now for this you don't have to explain anything, so you just have to write the 4 sources that you think of. This is an obvious one: the business or the owner's saving. Internal, which means it's in the business, within the business, not from outside. For example, like bank, or you maybe borrow it from like other source. That is an external source of finance. We have profit, the business profit, or retained profit. Another source, we could say current assets. For this one, you have to sell them. You don't really have to write this in brackets, but I'm just showing you what I mean. You can just write sell. You just write sell here. Sell current assets in order to get the cash for it. Okay, so now last one, you can say non-current assets. For this one is sale off as well, just like this one, just sale off existing non-current assets. But you can just write non-current assets, and I think you should be able to get the point. That's 4 marks. Our part D of question 2. Explain 2 possible effects on MPX, the business, brand cash flow forecast of introducing the new technology. Our first effect is reduce wage costs. So since there is 35 employees redundant or they're no longer needed, their services are no longer needed for the business. So you can say that as 35 employees are or not, or no longer, we can say are redundant. No, we should rephrase that as need 35 fewer employees which lowers cash outflow. Our second effect of introducing new technology, the old machinery could be sold since they're also no longer needed. Selling old machinery. Now, when selling old machines, you'll get cash in return, which adds to the cash inflow. Would generate cash inflow we can also say selling old machinery would generate cash inflow and lower repair costs. Now, this is not in the marketing scheme, this part, because when you have machinery, you will be like from time to time you'll have to repair them or do like checkups, which would cost money. So basically selling them would not cost you these extra expenses, which also as well in return generates cash inflow. And it's also more convenient not having that many machines around. So that is it for part D. Now for our last part, E. Do you think it is better for tertiary sector business to use full-time employees rather than part-time employees? Justify your answers. So I think you could go with either. Doesn't matter, but for me I'm gonna choose full-time. So you start with yes. I think using full-time employees is better than part-time. Now there's many points you could elaborate on, but I will just list a few since it's only a 6-mark question. You would need about 2 to 3 points to get your full marks for this question. You can also state, you have to also justify, as said here, where you have to go kind of against your chosen point, supporting this one, kind of, not supporting, but you have to state the cons for full-time. There are a lot also, but part-time has more cons than full-time. So we can, first of all, we can say that full-time employees are usually better, well-trained than part-time. We can say full-time are better trained than part-time. Usually part-time are not trained and they don't have enough skills to go on with such jobs. So why is it useful? Because it will, as it will be more productive for NPX. Business. You know, because when more trained or better trained employees, they contribute better to the business, which minimizes mistakes, and it will cost you less, because less trained employees usually tend to make more mistakes and it will cost the business. Now you can state that, but I want to state another point so I don't have to write more on that. We can write they're more loyal. Full-time employees tend to be more loyal to their job. And more, okay, we move this, more loyal and committed. So they are less likely to leave. Okay, so this is 2 points. The third point we could say it is easy to no, we could say they have a fixed payment. Moreover, they would have a fixed payment. Unlike part-time, which is, more convenient to the business owner or the recruiter. Easier. Now, which so justification, now we have 3 points. We will do however. You can use any other word, but I'm more comfortable with however. And it doesn't really matter if you repeat it, because usually in business they don't really care. As long as you have your points and you know what you're doing, then you're fine. Okay, now we have to state the cons of full-time employees. So the first one I could think of would be that their training would cost the business. Training. And it's time consuming. After writing this, you can actually, rephrase the answer however you like. So my answers are usually done this way. It's sometimes a bit longer, but it depends, like I said, on the question, whether it's a 6 mark, a 9 mark, or a 12 mark, which are questions that you'll see in paper 2. I personally prefer paper 2 way more paper 1, because paper 1 usually has fixed answers. Yes, there are many choices, but they're usually sticking with fixed answers. So when marking the paper, they're usually more strict than paper 2. Paper 2, it's like a free writing. You can be free with all your ideas, and you can literally get marks for them, as long as you, as I said again, sticking with the main point you're talking about. Other than that, like, you can rephrase it however you like, but you always have to justify, and then again stick with the main point you're arguing about. So that is it for this video. Check out part 2 for the rest of the questions of this paper. I hope it is helpful, and thank you for watching.